So, hello and welcome to our latest episode of the Kith Kin Podcast, Stories from the Hospitality Industry. I'm really happy to welcome Alex and Gareth here to tell us all about the ups and downs that have brought them to where they are and what makes the hospitality industry so special. So, hi, thank you both for coming and joining me with this conversation. So, can we just start with an introduction to who you are and what you do? Let's start with you, Gareth.
So hello, Cassie. Thank you for inviting me on. My name is Gareth Hazard, and I am a bit of a hospitality advocate. I've been working in the industry for 17 what feels like very long years. It's we'll talk more about my journey in a minute, but right now I'm currently starting up my third company with the lovely Alex. All three of my companies have been in hospitality, and I'm just a really big fan of genuine hospitality as well. So that's who I am and what I do. And I've invited the lovely Alex on today because I don't think it's fair to talk about starting this new company without this man because he's done an awful lot, probably more than he realises, actually. I think it's only fair for Alex to introduce himself now.
Go on then, Alex.
You make me blush if not even spoken yet. Thank you. Nice introduction. My name is Alex. I am similarly a veteran of the industry. I currently have I'm going to call it a day job, even though it's very rarely daytimes. Have a day job running a couple of restaurants fairly local to where I am. And then all of my kind of discretionary effort, side work, every second of my time is then being put into, keeping Gareth a hand, trying to get Y off the ground and hopefully building for the future.
Brilliant. So we're going to get to what Y Hospitality is all about, but let us start with how you got there. Tell me your story. Tell me your hospitality journey. Who wants to start?
I'll give it a go. I'll try not to take up the entire podcast. I actually started getting I got bit by the hospitality bug when I was about 14. And I asked for a very uncool birthday present, which was a junior chef's class at Melton Mowbray College, like all 14-year-olds do. We got to make bread and cook fish dishes and do a service in a restaurant, and I absolutely loved it to the point where I think I asked to do my work. I asked to do my work experience with my mum. Again, really cool for a 16-year-old, and I ended up working at the National College for School Leadership, which is now part of Nottingham University, and they had a two Rosetta restaurant, full service hotel, and I got to kind of experience the catering side of things and a bit of fine dining, and by which point I was really convinced I wanted to go into hospitality, but I wasn't too sure. I'm growing up in Melton. My only options were kind of McDonald's or Safeway, which later became Morrison's. And it's the Morrison's job that I got as a butcher and fishmonger, which my mum and dad were placing bets on how long I would last as a butcher and fishmonger, because I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. I got offered a place at Munford University to do international business and enterprise when I was 19. And I had to find a job in Leicester. I went for a good old night out in a place called the Rainbow and Dove on Charles Street. After a few beverages on a Wednesday, I had the Dutch courage to ask for a job over the end of the bar. They rang me the next day to say you start on Friday. So they were interview process, really. I think they just maybe was a regular. I started working in bars, and I was a terrible bartender. I did not know anything rum or whiskey or coffee or cocktails. I chuck drinks over myself. I used to go home thinking, oh my God, why did I take on this bar job. But after a while, because I had some really great managers, and the owner kind of took me under his wing to kind of coach me and train me and show me everything he knew. After a year, I got my first promotion, and then so I was a supervisor by the time I was 20, assistant manager 21. Got to open a nightclub, the Helsinki in Leicester. I got to open that when I was just about to turn 22, and that was the catapult, really. That was the start of an incredible journey, which ultimately led me to open my own bar by the time I was 25, which apparently is not a normal thing. I did not realise this. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we've met before, haven't we? So we actually I shared our stories before, and I opened my first place when I was 23. Yeah, and yes, it's not until now I go, oh yeah, that isn't normal. Like, that's not what people do, is it?
No,
maybe that little bit of youth and naivety is probably quite helpful.
Yeah, because I absolutely was not born with the knowledge of how to open a business or pour a glass of wine or cook in the kitchen. But I think that kind of curious nature and not knowing how to do any of that stuff kind of drove me to do more and more. And after 3 years of having that business, whether you've been a manager for a business or you've had your own, it's hard. You when you're leading a team of people, especially in your own business, you take things quite personally. So when you have a great week, you feel great, and then when you have a quiet week, you don't feel so great. So that kind of the ups and downs was what I wasn't really prepared for, and I decided, with no job lined up at all, to give the keys back when I had a break clause in my 6.5-year lease, and I gave the keys back to my bar, sold the fixtures and fittings to the landlord, and I had no job when I was 28, which was really scary.
I have to say though, that's a very brave decision to make. A lot of people don't do that and continue, and either if financially breaks them or it breaks them from a health point of view. So I congratulate you for making actually what would have been a very difficult and very brave decision.
Yeah, I described it to people as trying to take off, trying to chop off your arm, or like I'd like to take a limb.
Yeah.
It was a part of me. I chose the way it looked, smelled, sounded, tasted. So it was incredibly tough, but I think the big thing for me was that I had this calling to train people and get more into the coaching side of things, which is what I got the opportunity to do through De Montfort University. I had missed the part when I said I dropped out of university after a year of bartending, full-time supervisor, which my mum hated. But funnily enough, my university lecturer asked me to be a guest speaker because I saw an article about this in the Leicester Mercury, and that kind of lit something. It switched something on. I really wanted to do this training thing. Didn't know it was called learning and development. I didn't know any of the professional terms for it, and it took me a few years. I had to go and be a manager again, which was tough after you've had your own business, to go and work for some smaller companies, and then go work corporate for places like Starbucks, Prezzo, and most recently for lounges and Cozy Club. But all those were stepping stones. They were all getting me ready for what would ultimately be starting my own company again at age 35. So just about to turn 36 when I made the decision. And to cut the story to an end, that only came about because I was made redundant when I was when I was 35. Big hospitality companies, especially casual dining, I see that normally the L&D team is the first to go when the budgets need to be tightened. I absolutely respect it was a business decision. I still go to Lounge and Cozy Club to this day. Massive fan of everything that they do. But I'm searching for a job for a year, getting to top 2 7 times, going through the interview process all that time. We've had this conversation before. It just drains you. And I think one day I just decided I don't want to work for someone else. Maybe that's why I'm not getting the job. Which is when I decided to start writing this plan for Why Hospitality, which brings me up to present day. I think that was pretty good.
Yes, I think that's a great place to bring Alex in to catch up with you. So Alex, tell us your hospitality journey.
I'm in the small minority of the group that didn't open a bar in their early 20s, I'm afraid.
Only this group.
Yeah.
Everyone else is not so stupid.
I'm still the odd one out there. My journey is the opposite of Gareth's. Strangely, I did not know that I wanted to do hospitality. In fact, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Probably until about 5 years ago. I'm in that group. So I fell from kind of bar job to cafe job to pub job to music venue job to I had a sort of a few years in between where I started, I learned how to build yachts, which was interesting.
Wow.
I also did my work experience with my dad. That was his thing. And then realized that wasn't for me. Not a fan of the culture in that industry. And then came back into hospitality because I knew that I could always rely on being able to get a job in it. And then kids come along and you think, I've got to take something seriously at some point. So yeah, after a bit of thought, realized that actually I do quite enjoy it. It's the thing I always come back to. So I think I've worked in most types of venues and establishments and like coffee shops, restaurant, bars, venues, all those kind of things throughout the last probably 20 years now. But since COVID, I think things have changed a little bit. I left the job just after COVID because I simply couldn't afford to work there anymore, which was not quite heartbreaking, but certainly wasn't on the plan. I'd love to have stayed there, but it just wasn't meant to be. And then since then, I've just kind of been on a little personal mission to start trying to put the hospitality back into hospitality. I think it's a time where people need some help and they need some love. So that pretty much quite short and sweetly brings me to present day and why we've partnered up with Gareth to do just that.
Brilliant. So you guys are partnered up for Why Hospitality. So what is Why Hospitality, and how does it work?
I will answer half of that. Alex do the rest. It started as an idea that I knew of lots of people that had been managers or bar owners or ops managers or worked for head office, and they decided to launch their own consultants. And I noticed that the chance of success was very low. People lasted a year, maybe 2 years. And there are a few really great people that have succeeded that I've met over the years. A few of them I've met through lounges, a few of them from when I opened the bar in Leicester. But the chances of being a successful full-time consultant was very low. And I couldn't figure out why, because there is a need, I think, for people to have a look at other businesses that are external, but because there was not really a professional hospitality network, not one that I could relate to for consulting, I decided that I needed to figure out a way to solve that problem, which is the inner consultant in me to achieve.
Yeah.
But I'd learned from working with other businesses over the years that you can't just have one thing. So you need to have kind of 4 pillars that make up the business. So because I've been working in learning and development for 4 years before that, immediately, I leapt towards creating training and workshops for big businesses, but also to have my own small business. I felt like small business was missing out on these amazing workshops that these big companies get to run that small business couldn't really afford. So that was another pillar. And then I knew that places like lounges have done well because they've given away things that were free or done things for the community. So creating a free resource for people that worked in hospitality was the third. And then the one that we haven't really spoken about was how to recruit hospitality. So, which is still a problem we're trying to solve. It came about because I felt like there needed to be something a bit more supportive for people that wanted to become consultants, how to train, how to get access to resources and to recruit. I didn't know it was going to be called Why Hospitality. I came up with the name completely out of the blue, and I bought the website for it 6 months before I launched the LinkedIn page. But when I was doing search on how to get things started, I came across Alex. I was a massive fan of his articles and the way he spoke and all the posts that he did. It's like, oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing if I could be like this guy? So I was pleasantly surprised when I put out a newsletter job, shall we say? I think it was to write free job, a volunteering role to write a newsletter and write posts, because I didn't have a company, non-profit, and I thought no one would pay up for this. No one. We got 5 applications in 3 days, I think.
Wow.
And I was like, I cannot possibly look through all these applications. I tried my best to reply to people. I actually did send 100 emails to people asking me to submit articles. And one of those people that approached me was Alex. And this is a nice segue for you.
Thank you.
For you to just explain what you do.
You said I probably do more than I think I do, so I'm not quite sure at this point. I started working alongside Gareth because, to be honest, I like the energy, the enthusiasm, and the way that he advocates for the industry. Like I said, I was aware of the things that he was doing a few months before that particular voluntary position advert went out. And I remember I finished my shift one day when I was at work and I saw it and thought, I think I've missed it because he'd closed off the comments. I thought because he'd chosen, not because he got 500 people. So I thought, well, just message him just in case. Hopped on the call. I'm pleased to say that we've now, month 6 now, I believe, month 7, of writing many, many articles and things. Just love the process of it. I love trying to get some ideas out there. Been looking for ways. I'm very much a long-term thinker, so I'm kind of like thinking now of what's going to be 10 years in the future or 20 years in the future. So I like to be working towards something. And unfortunately, I think the industry at the minute is a little bit stagnant. So hopefully with this, we can kind of help propel things along a little bit. But for me personally, it was just a really nice chance to kind of add another string to the bow, get a bit of a name out there. I'll be honest, at the time, I didn't think it would lead to a partnership of any sort, which is a pleasant, happy surprise, which is really nice. It's just seems to be going from strength to strength at the moment, which is great. There's some other fantastic writers as well. We've got John and Ariane as well, who do their Why Wine and Why Women segments, which I've just learned an absolute ton from. So that's that's a really
absolutely fantastic. So, what sort of companies do you work with?
So, we actually recently was approached by a catering company, and they work with kind of branded cafes and restaurants, and they look after like franchises and licensed sites. That wasn't the job I thought I was going to get. through one. So fortunately, I have the lovely Alex up now as well. That was literally one of the first things we asked to look at. And then we've done some work with some local businesses. We did some marketing, built a website, training, and a staff handbook. We're currently helping a company do its recruitment for a management role. And then there's been some other things. A consultant job looking at the recruitment journey for a casual dining group. They've only got about 16 sites. So it's been a real mix. But I don't think I've got to the core of what I really wanted to do, which was to start linking these people together. All of the consultants, they're a customer to me, but it's small business. I've got a real burning passion for. Don't know why. It's not like I used to run one. So I think it's taking on a variety of different clients, but it's what I find really interesting is that I think hospitality exists in lots of different industries, even things like retail. I used to talk to someone who works in healthcare and talk about how sort of was kind of in. There's really lots of different industries that can take advantage of like the way hospitality thinks. I wouldn't say, I don't think either me or Alex would say no to a client that didn't work in hospitality either, but it's been really interesting to have such a broad range of clients, and hopefully we can release more information about them soon.
Brilliant, fantastic. So, but I think because you're so well placed to be supporting other businesses in that, just with that variety of experience you've got from the different types of venues that you have both been involved in. But also the structures of those different organisations as well, and pulling the information, pulling best practice from across all of those different areas. But let me just ask you, because you're both in hospitality and have had these long careers in hospitality, but what is it that made you really fall in love with the industry? What is it that keeps you attached to it?
I originally, just waiting for Gareth to come in then. I originally fell in love with it because I really enjoyed the correlation between how much work you put in and how much you get out. So you see lots of people come to it and they'll do their few hours a week and it's just a job, or you interview somebody and you say, why do you want to work here? It's like, oh, my mum said I needed to get a job. And you know instantly what they're going to get out of it. But then you see the people who do want to make a career out of it, and just by putting in that extra 10% effort and even hours, sometimes it just comes down to how much work you do. It's all about kind of how much you can get back from the industry. And it's great like that. I do find it's very much what you put in is what you get.
Mine is quite similarly related. I enjoy people, and it's not just it's yes, customers are important, but the first people I think about probably the teams I've had the privilege to lead and recruit for and grow, and doing that for thousands of managers for a few years was incredible. But those aren't the people I think about first. I recruited a team of people in a town called Biggleswade, which I didn't know existed. I actually accepted the job for Lambs without knowing where Biggleswade was. Luckily for me, it was down the road from Bedford, where I lived at the time. And I recruited a brand new team from scratch in a very small town. You couldn't steal from other restaurants because your choices were Wetherspoons and the world's smallest Pizza Express. So you had to hire people with no experience and train them up from scratch. And we had to do that for a team of 40, which,
wow, that's
looking
hard.
back, it was hard. I worked a lot of hours. That's for those few months. But I recruited a 16-year-old, lovely 16-year-old girl who she just had this amazing personality. And then I used to tell a story when I was training people about she was quite courageous and she had such confidence that she felt that she could tell the general manager, who was me, that my teaspoons were not at 3:00 with all the coffees that we're sending out. And I remember thinking, oh my God, thinking how cheeky, but also true. So I got her a 20 cinema voucher as like a pat on the back. The courage to tell the general manager he was wrong. And I always remember that when I was training people. I used to tell that story all the time. And then a few months ago, I got a message from her on Facebook to say that she is the way she is because apparently I was her manager, leader. And it's those kind of messages that's the reason I hospitality, that's the reason I'm a training coach. And she didn't do too badly. I think her first job was for lounges and her second job was for Disney cruises. So I don't think she did too badly. Also, mega jealous.
No, sounds brilliant. We'll have her on the podcast soon and she can tell us all about her journey. That'd be amazing. So, but as I say, I always ask guests who come on the podcast to share with us a mistake that they may have made on that journey, because actually I think that's where there are these opportunities for learning to take place. So, I mean, if you're happy to, if you wouldn't mind, I mean, what mistakes sort of spring out as things that if you'd known what I need to get this right, if you'd known then what you know now, you might have done differently.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah,
I think so.
I
think I do. I'm trying to narrow it.
I mean,
you can go for more than one.
I mean, I don't have time for all the mistakes I've made in hospitality, Cassie, so I've made thousands of them. But each mistake I've learned from. I think the one most recent one is I accepted a role which is not on my LinkedIn, on my CV. It's a top secret job that I never should have taken. I went to work for another company because it was a free job. I took on the role in the coffee industry, and I knew my gut feeling was don't take this job. But living at home with parents, wanting to get a salary again, not really having the idea for why hospitality quite finished off yet, I thought, yeah, cool, I'll go in there 30 grand a year work with coffee again. And I never should have done it. I knew from, I think day one is when the red flags started. And by day 7, there were 10 red flags and then 15 and 20. And I just kind of powered through. It doesn't make you a very good person when you're doing something which is totally against your nature and against your character.
Is that their culture and their values just didn't align to you? Is that fundamentally what the issue was?
Yeah, big time. And I'm a very big believer in culture. I mean, Alex writes entire articles on it. So I know it's this thing that's really important. I really value, but I was just desperate for that job. I took it. I did not enjoy it. I lasted 12 weeks, I think. And they ended my probation. So, and I remember being asked after they told me they were ending my probation. They asked me how I felt, which I thought was a very odd question to someone who just ended the probation. And I said relieved. Was my words. And then I handed my keys back and got trained in Alton Mowbray. And I was so like, don't have to do that anymore. But I really should send them a thank you note, because that spurred me on to culture.
Brilliant. And Alex, what about you?
I've had a few of them. I've made every stupid mistake you can possibly imagine. From being a teenager who gets drunk on shift, to getting in proper arguments with customers and shouting across the bar. I've done that in my youth, which actually is quite a long time ago now, beginning to realize. What about a more recent one? I, until a few years ago, always used to put titles above everything. I think is a mistake that I made every single day for about 10 years. And that as soon as I realized what it was I wanted to do, then it was like, I need this position, and then this position, and then the next position. And it was like, right, I want GM by the time I'm 30, it turned out to be. And I achieved every single one, but I just did exactly what I had to do to get there, regardless of who got in the way or anything like that. And kind of the last one I hit, and it was midway through COVID that I got the promotion, which just comes out from, again, just working more than everyone else when you don't have to. Big fan of that. But I realized that actually it was completely meaningless. And that the title it's almost irrelevant, because I wasn't being the kind of leader who actually I would like to be. And have been trying hard since to get closer and closer to. I don't think you ever get there, but on that journey. So I think that was the start of my leadership journey rather than just my management one. But yeah, I think that was probably my biggest mistake, purely because it took a decade to kind of realize, and now I'm on the decade of trying to put it right. But it's burned many bridges, it's lost many friends. It was just for a title and a pay rise. Not worth it.
I think they are both really valuable and insightful answers. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. So let's just wrap up. And how can people find you?
Well, we are both on LinkedIn, avid users. Yes, look for the Gareth Hazard or the lovely Alex Munford on LinkedIn. We have a website which we are currently building up, which is www.hospitality.com.
.com?
Yeah. Thank you, Alex, for leaving there. We're both pretty active on all formats of social media. I'm currently learning how to use TikTok, which is really, really fun. So yes, you can find us on all social media platforms. You will not find me on Twitter though, or X as it's now called, but you will find Alex.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it, and it's such a privilege to be able to hear your stories, and for you to share your love of hospitality. Thank you.